This past April 4th was my 24th transiversary. That was the day I began my public transition to become the fab, unapologetically black trans woman you see on your screen right now. But there are some trans folks that we don't get to see or hear enough of. I'm speaking, of course, about my black trans brothers. Ever since Christine Jorgensen stepped off her SAS flight from Denmark at JFK Airport in 1953, the dominant narrative when it comes to trans feminine people in the US has been from a white lens. We're just now starting to tell trans feminine stories from a non-white perspective in this community. The same has been true for my black trans brothers as well. Whenever the conversation in the trans world has turned to trans masculinity, far too often that conversation has been framed from a white lens as well. Black trans men have had to fight to be recognized in everything they do, including being leaders in this movement. One of the first trans men I met was the late Alexander John Goodrum. He not only founded SAGA, the Southern Arizona Gender Alliance, but was also instrumental in getting the trans-inclusive language inserted in Tucson's non-discrimination ordinance that they passed in 1999. There's also attorney Kyler Broadus, who made history in 2002 by becoming the first trans person of any ethnic background to testify at a U.S. Senate hearing. Kyler also has a long history of leadership in this movement as the founding executive director of the Trans Person of Color Coalition and at the task force. Dr. Courtney Ryan Ziegler, before he became the kick-ass entrepreneur behind the Abolition app, which turns your change into bail money, produced the multiple award-winning documentary Still Black, A Portrait of Black Trans Men in 2007. That documentary was the first focused on the lives of black trans men. In 2013, Courtney created the Trans Hack Hackathon event as a way for trans tech people and trans-led startups to use their tech skills to solve real-world trans community issues, and I was proud to be a judge for that. And no, I wasn't the first trans blogger nominated for a GLAAD Media Award Outstanding Blog Award. Courtney beat me to that distinction when his Blackademic blog was nominated in 2011. There are also brothers like Carter Brown, the founder of the Dallas-based Black Trans Men Inc. and Black Trans Advocacy, who organized the BTAC conference, and who is also part of a new generation of black trans masculine leaders. Leaders like Javon Martin, Sean Coleman, Eunice Coldman, Teek Milan, Lewis Mitchell, Trenton Johnson, Mr. Chris, Luke Benjamin, Councilman Philippe Cunningham, Dejourne Gauthier, J.B. Williamson, Dewa Kane, and Caleb Elijah, just to name a few. There's a long line of stylish trans models that includes the black trans masculine model Laith Ashley, who is making a name for himself in the modeling world in addition to starring in the reality TV show Strut. And speaking of TV, black trans men are also appearing as television actors in our favorite shows such as Queen Sugar's Brian Michael Smith. I also have to talk about our brothers who preceded this generation of excellent trans men, like gospel singer Wilmer Broadnax, Jim McHarris, who was living his life in 1950s Mississippi, and Jonathan Thunderword. Of course, I can't forget the ones who are no longer here, like Marcel Cook Daniels, Blake Brockington, and Kashmir Red, who was murdered by his partner last year. Yes, people, black trans men face anti-trans violence as well, but that's a commentary for another day and time. If I haven't told you lately how much I love and honor y'all, well, let your trans sis tell you one more time. Love you, trans brothers.